on there one day when I got out of the gym, and like he's just inspiring, you know, like the things that he says. Like he might not draw much, like on stream. He does draw, but doesn't sketch much, or he sketches. But his like his philosophies and they kind of just got me into like, yeah, man, I gotta I gotta start focusing on drawing, and it's just something that I want to do and to get better at, and I'm in a position to where I have the time to focus on these things that I want to do, and while I have the time, I should be using it productively. Oh, but what I was saying is, Murdoch XCOM, he's doing a encounter series, and basically, I think right now he's got 50 plus paintings, digital paintings. He does digital painting, planned, and that allows him, or that not allows him, but he's telling a story through these paintings, and it's about one character. And he's got a lot of like it's just really cool, and he's telling this story through these paintings, these series of paintings, and so he's kind of inspired me to like take the stories that I want to tell and kind of put them in to my artwork. And I was playing Dungeons and Dragons recently. It was before summer. And I was playing with some friends, and I had really good ideas. But another issue with Dungeons and Dragons, like making a film, is scheduling. I had friends that I was playing with. I didn't have local friends that I was playing with. I was playing with friends that I played games with online. So we were playing. I was playing with friends that were in the UK and some here, and some on the East Coast, some on the West Coast, you know, Central or whatever. And what happened was, I want to say we played probably maybe, I'm going to say 20 sessions. And I had started my own campaign, my own homebrewed world. And I just had all these ideas, and since we stopped playing before the summer, I have all these ideas that are just not being used, and I had thought about starting up, doing some online, and maybe streaming it once I got my computer, doing some D&D stuff. Maybe finding a group that can be more consistent. This needs to be flatter. So like I had the eye socket way up there. The eye socket needs to be more down here. Anyway, so basically we started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and that kind of got me into like creating ideas and creating worlds and characters. And then since we live on a main road, the dogs are always barking. People, especially during the time when people are getting off work and walking to their cars, because they just park all along the street. So the dogs are just constantly barking when there's people getting out. And like the neighbor's dogs will start going first maybe, and then like our dogs will do it, and then the next neighbor's dogs do it. It's just a chain reaction. But anyway, I started creating these worlds and creating these characters, and I wasn't doing anything with them. And then I decided that I wanted to do National Novel Writing Month, NaNoWriMo. So back in September, I did a practice run, and I was on Facebook I had been answering questions to people in a D&D group. Like they were asking questions, they just needed help, and I was kind of like just, giving them ideas and helping them with rules and stuff like that, and just whenever I had a chance or whenever something piqued my interest. And there was this topic, and I started writing out an example of how like this scenario, he was asking about a weapon, and so I kind of created a scenario and an example for how that would impact play, or how it could be dealt with. And after I had wrote about half a page for this example, I was like, this could be a story. And so I took that and I was like, well, I need to do a practice run for National Novel Writing Month, because I've written, when I was in college in English, my English class, he was very big on having us write essays, so we were writing 3 to 4 essays a week, and I really enjoyed the writing, because we were writing about a lot of topics that were going on, current event stuff, and then I've always been one to kind of flip an idea. Like if I expect like the whole class to write a certain way, like I'll try to do a different position on it, to give it a different spin. So I had never written anything that was 50,000 words, that's for sure. And so basically I was like, all right, well, I'm going to write almost 2,000 words a day, and we're going to see how long I can do this every single day. I hit 38,000 words and stopped. I know exactly where I am in that story. I know what I want to happen next, but I stopped. And then November hit, and it was time to write. And so I had another idea of a campaign that I wanted to do for D&D. And the idea was to basically strip down travel, strip down any barrier to entry. So basically the idea was like, get me 4 players, we're going to get them into game real quick, they're not going to have to deal with traveling, they're going to just go straight to whatever quest, they'll have like a choice between which quest they want to do, they'll finish it off, they'll be able to buy some new equipment for their characters, and then that was it. It was basically like a one-shot adventure, where later on I could still use the same world and still and then like adjust the quest. So like if they finished that quest, how did that impact the town that they were doing the quest for, and then that would change. And basically I think I had 4, I can't remember how many towns. Basically I came up with a bunch of towns, and I gave each of them quests, and once one quest was done, it affected the town a certain way. And then if a new group came in, or maybe a mix of a new group and 2 people from the previous adventure, they would be able to go out and do new quests. And it was basically a bunch of persistent one-shots. And since I had stripped down all this stuff, there was kind of no backstory to the world. Basically it was, here's a major city, and here's some outlining towns they're trying to expand, trying to make it safer in this area. It's dangerous. And I was like, maybe I'll just write about this. Maybe I'll write about one of these towns, and since there's no backstory to this world, I can just make my own. Like, I'll just come up with it. Like, I mean, I'd come up with it anyway, right? I just didn't do it because I wanted a quicker way to get players in. And if there's a bigger world that they have to understand, then it takes them more time to get into the game. Basically, I just wanted them to create their character, come in, kind of do some quests. Some of them would be hack and slash. Some of them would be like a mystery, kind of like clue finding, and maybe like I don't know, just different things. There was no backstory to the world really, except for what I kind of just made up for the quests. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write a story based off of this world. And that's what I did. It was about one of the towns, a kid in the town. And I finished. And that was, I did 51,000 words for that. And what really helped my writing process was drawing. So like, when I was creating the world, or when I was creating the campaign, at first I drew out the towns. I was like, well, this is the town that I want. So, and as I was drawing them out, like, it led to me coming up with quests. Like, oh, I put a forest here, so obviously there's going to be some kind of forest here. Oh, I made a mistake here. Let's put a big rock here and a hole in it, and that's kind of a cave. And so drawing has really, like, opened up my stories. And the character had to go into this world, or not into this world, had to go into the forest and do something. And he came up to this place, and it was kind of like a dungeon. So I basically sat down as a DM and drew out a dungeon. There's a theory, a dungeon theory. It's called the 5-room dungeon. I kind of used that theory to help me build the dungeon and what I wanted to do in the story to build the dungeon. And that was kind of it. And I've kind of been, basically everything that I've been doing is D&D inspired. And now I want to tell these stories that I have, and I have some creative ideas that I'd like to try. Also, I'd like to create some cartoons, animations that my niece and nephew would enjoy, and things that I would enjoy, because I feel like cartoons have changed. And I think that personally, growing up in the late, I was born in '85, so there was a lot of good cartoons. There was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there was G.I. Joes, there was Ghostbusters. Like, these are cartoons that are just right, like, in my heart. And in order to like kind of get back to my childhood, I figured, there's stories that I want to tell. And I love cartoons. And like I said, I had tried film, and it just, to me, didn't seem like the medium that I wanted to work in. And I've always kind of been drawing since I was a kid, and it's just kind of always been there, even though I haven't really put the time into it to make it what it should be by this time. And I know this is less about me drawing. Like, I'm going to be honest, I already have a problem with heads, and to wrap hair around a head that I'm having a problem with is tough. But you can kind of see, right, that the idea is that the head is round, so the hair should wrap around the head. So yeah, like, just drawing in general is just in D&D, and just a lot of things over the last few years for me has just kind of pushed me to decide that I think that drawing art, I shouldn't say just drawing, because I like digital painting, like I said, as I'm practicing that too. I only have Autodesk Sketchbook on my Galaxy Note 4 to work with. I wanted to do streaming, and then creative came, and it just seemed like everything's been kind of pushing, like, hey, Barry, D&D, and you're drawing, and you're writing, and you're creating these worlds and characters, and you're putting them on paper, and, it's just kind of pushing me this direction. And I have a lot of practice to do before I'm able to do the things that I want to do. But having success with self-teaching previously, even when I was in college, I just feel like teaching myself and helping others while I learn is a good start. And then down the road, hopefully I can get into a position to where I can create the stories that I want to create. and